Leon, the professional, Drew. Not only because I feel bad for Rudy, and I just want to cheer on a Frenchman.
Welcome to the acclaimed podcast, The Deep Dive, featuring your esteemed hosts, Andy Monitor and Drew Dinzik, powered by BetSperts.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. It's been a wild one today. Usually Wednesdays are a little see people nibbling at stuff and some nudging, couple releases. Not today, my friend.
Fucking total nudge its way under 34. We are in.
Do you think it's done?
Hall of Fame game territory.
Do you think it's done?
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll see.
Joked. I wasn't joking. I looked at it for a little bit and I said it in the Discord. I said this should be like 34, and it opened just above that, and it has gotten further than that. 33 and a half. I don't know if I had to close this line right now with knowing what I know on injuries. Again, we're talking Pittsburgh, Cleveland.
Sure.
I'd be at like Pittsburgh -1.5, 33.
Ooh,
I don't know if it'll go that far. I think there's finally going to be some resistance on Cleveland. I mean, you do have to respect the shit out of.
Pizzola backstopped it on their show, so probably.
I get it.
There's some backstopping there.
It does feel like one of those. Remember the Deshaun Kaiser years, where like sharp groups would bet Cleveland every week, and they went like 4-12.
Sure.
It really feels like one of those where it's like, all right, this has moved too far. We're too far off the priors. We need to back Cleveland. Cleveland loses like 18-0.
It does feel not that crazy. I mean, the DTR tape was.
It's rough.
He's
worse than PJ Walker. There's no chance. And I know Clev was clamoring for it, and he's probably happy, but he made a case that there's like a higher ceiling. Granted, I don't think PJ Walker has some ceiling we've never seen, but DTR is pretty rough against starters. He looked pretty fun against third stringers in preseason, but so did Kenny Pickett. I mean, Kenny Pickett that was like greatest show on turf too. They had seven drives, 7 touchdowns. He was amazing. I mean, we've seen what the Steelers offense is.
Kind of ashamed to put your best tape on film in the preseason, but that's okay. All right, so the first 2 games in the rotation are all AFC North teams, man. So we are going to get like 7 down or 8, and dirty in the black and blue division, buddy. And honestly, these 2 games, I guess, do you think you'll have high confidence after you see these 2 games decided on who will win this division?
Probably not. It's still early.
No?
I mean, if it goes Ravens tie, then yes.
Okay.
That would be nice. And hello, Brinks. Yes, the DTR Hall of Fame game. There's a lot of guys, to be fair, Jaden, there's a lot of guys we will bet on in the preseason that we probably wouldn't bet on in the regular season. Our guy Chris Streveler got a job the other day. I don't think we're running to the window to back him as a 14-point dog against anyone. I mean, he'd actually be on a good team. I think he got some work with the Niners. But yeah, DTR, we'll get to him in a second. The Bengals obviously struggled on defense last week. I wanted your take on this. We love Lou Anarumo. We love his second half adjustments, but this defense has been very uneven and maybe just not good. I think Hendrickson is going to go. Man, I'm just getting I'm way off topic because I threw my brain in. It's just remembering Chris Streveler's second halves. Just a preseason god. Brinks knows. But I guess I'm kind of concerned about this defense. We saw the Ravens put up some decent points against a very good defense. They bottled it anyway, and they're missing some pieces. They're not going to have Stanley, but it's not a good defense right now. Is this just a case of the Ravens kind of get what they want finally on offense and can't bottle this?
Gosh, it's tough to say. I was obviously very disappointed with the Bengals defense last week. I was very disappointed with the Ravens second half last week. I laid the points with both of these teams and both lost outright. So to say that I have a good read on how to properly rate the Bengals or how to properly rate the Ravens is probably a mistake. So the fact that I even bet this game is probably a mistake. But I got involved with some Bengals money line, and my reasoning is kind of it's a little soft, I'll say. But the Bengals defense is definitely a problem. A positive spin on this would be at least there's some familiarity here, right? There's nothing the Ravens are doing right now in terms of offensive concepts that I think is tough to wrap your brain around. Now, if you don't have the talent and personnel to stop it, that's a different problem. But for the time being, at least, the idea of there being something unknown about what you're going to get from the Ravens is not really in my realm of consideration for this game. Bengals and Ravens games have meant a lot the last handful of years. These teams played each other 3 times last year. In general, the Ravens defense had a bunch of answers for what the Bengals were trying to do offensively. Mike McDonald kind of put together the blueprint for exactly how you want to try to defend the 11 personnel looks that the Bengals were running out there. But I will argue that the Bengals offense they have evolved quite a lot, largely because they had to work around the Joe Burrow injury through the first quarter of the season. And then now at least they're giving you a lot more different multiple looks than they used to. It's not just a bunch of 11, 11, 11, and we're going to send Jamar Chase on a go route every other down. Like, there's a lot more nuance and interesting stuff going on with the way that they're utilizing their personnel, I think. And so I don't know that McDonald will have the answers here. And I still believe the Bengals offense ought to be rated in their preseason expectation, which was a top 3 unit. Now, the absence of Higgins, that definitely matters. He's a really, really good player, but I would expect that this is still a decent matchup with Humphrey not going to go as well. Or is it just Staley? Who's out for the Ravens besides Andy? You're muted, but who else besides?
I had a cough. Sorry. Humphrey's out.
So
Humphrey's out. Stanley's out. Yeah, there's too many things going on. I think even with Higgins out, the matchup for the Ravens offense and what we've seen from the last couple of years, and just the fact that I think we can still get something without Higgins here. Boyd is a little underrated. I would be betting this over if it weren't a Thursday night game.
Yeah.
Like, that's probably just going to keep it off, is the shorter time frame to put together the offensive game plans. Just, I like, I think my median projection here is just Ravens win by 3 an awful lot.
Okay.
So I'm hesitant to bet anything. I don't want any part of this with the divisional game, short week, good coaches, good coordinators, some missing pieces that kind of confuse things. Like, if I had to make a bet, it would probably have been some Bengals plus 3.5, 4, but no thanks.
Okay.
I just want to watch this one and have some fucking fun, man.
Okay.
I bet the second half, huh?
Yeah, that's fair. I played I don't have a good read on why the Ravens are struggling to close games. I don't get it. I wish I could point to some reasons, but I can't. Lamar Jackson is not performing especially well throwing the ball right now. I don't know that people are really digesting that, and I don't have a good answer for what's going on. It's obviously, it's obviously not the Greg Roman scheme, as we're now running the Todd Monken scheme. It's obviously not the lack of weapons, because we invested in the draft and free agency to bring in weapons. Like, it's still feels very laborious for him to move this offense through the air, even in the games where they were like, man, they were just dominant, right? Like that Seattle game, that was all on the ground. Like, there was very, very little that they got going in the air that game. And that was a little bit of a head scratcher to me. So I worry for sure about the Ravens in comeback mode if the Bengals get out to a hot start, as they are wont to do. I worry about the Ravens matching up with the speed of Jamar Chase in the absence of Humphrey, although I know Humphrey's not necessarily a speedster. You're still going to be asking a lot out of what is effectively an entire secondary made up of safeties. And I think the general kind of excellence of the Ravens defense, while I don't dispute it whatsoever, this is a tough test. This is a tougher test than they've faced a lot of this season. This is an elite offense, and we've seen the Ravens do it against a lot of broken offenses, frankly. And I think this test is a pretty clear step up for these guys. So it's probably fair at 3.5 or 3. I took a shot on Bengals plus 163 on the money line, just on the basis of you're getting the better quarterback, and I think you're getting the better offense. It's on the road. This is third straight home game for the Ravens.
Yep.
Bengals had 2 at home before traveling on the short week. I don't have a strong read about Zach Taylor and his ability to get his team prepared for a Thursday night football game, but I definitely know that, like, if this is a close game or if this is a Bengals deficit, they are going to chuck. They're going to throw. And I do think that has the opportunity to, lend them a way back into this game if they are at a deficit. And if they're winning, I don't know that I feel the same way about Lamar. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it's tough to say he's been a bad passer. It's just been different with this offense. Sometimes it feels like the air yards are way down, but the completion rate is still kind of elite. He's been good at times. It's like you said, it's hard to explain, even though we've watched it multiple times. I feel like you and I have probably watched the Ravens games over every Monday and Tuesday. We've all right, this is one I have to watch.
Yeah, top of the queue.
Cannot figure out exactly. It does feel like just a bit of variance of some of the parts. Like it's some coaching, it's some Lamar, it's some variance, it's some bad luck, it's the other team. Who would have thought? And RIP his shoulder in his season, but who would have thought we would have gotten that Deshaun Watson in the second half? They still needed the pick 6 to get him there, but that Deshaun Watson was the best Deshaun Watson I've seen since Houston.
Yeah.
I mean, he was making throws. If he actually had a broken shoulder, and I can't imagine the amount of drugs he had in him.
We don't want to get into speculation there. I think he's full of shit. And I don't want to talk about fucking Deshaun Watson for the rest of the season. Fuck that guy.
All right, let's move on to the Cleveland game.
No. I want one more thing on Lamar Jackson here. You ready?
Okay, go ahead.
How many quarterbacks this year do you think have generated more total EPA passing? Just guess. Just ballpark for me.
7, 8.
14.
Really?
Yeah. That's not great. And there's some guys on this list who are done for the season, and they've still got more EPA through the air than him. The names include Anthony Richardson. They include Kirk Cousins, Jordan Love, Matt Stafford, Baker Mayfield, CJ Stroud.
I hate to ever say anyone's cherry picking when they're using the entire season.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to throw out some of the first few weeks and put him closer to the 10th best quarterback in EPA. Those first few weeks of offense really felt labored, and I'm reticent to call that all Lamar's fault. A lot of that was growing pains with the new OC. I feel like it's been better. It's just still been inconsistent. It's been better, but not good, not great. Oh man, yeah,
it's weird.
I'm excited to watch this game. Unexcited to bet this.
Yeah, in the same sentence, you throw out the first couple games Burrow, so I get it.
No, there's a bunch of guys where it's Burrow. How do you rate his season? And then you throw in last week's game. There's a lot of weird stuff, and yes, the drops in the Steelers game. That's what makes rating a quarterback very difficult when you're just looking at one or two stats.
Yeah. So how about this? Ready? How about let's go bigger picture. Let's go last 3 seasons.
Sure.
Lamar Jackson ranks where in terms of total EPA as a passer?
He's still probably middle of the pack. I mean, so much of it comes from his legs and extending the play, and it's been a team that's always had, good running backs. And
how about the fact that his rushing efficiency is down this year? Can you explain that?
I mean, I'm going to go back to the same argument, Drew. I'm going to say those first few games, that offense looked discombobulated as hell. I mean, you remember that. It was horrible.
Sure. Okay. Well, he's trending in the wrong direction, and I can't wrap my head around it.
And to be fair, he didn't play in one of those seasons. He did miss a bunch of time over the course of like the end of last year.
Okay, we'll take the last 3 years. He's got 1,260 plays in the database. He is 18th in terms of quarterbacks of total EPA generated. Garoppolo's beating him. Cousins is beating him. Goff is beating him. Stafford.
But Cousins hasn't missed a damn game over that stretch.
Derek Carr.
He missed a bunch of time.
I'd rather
normalize it.
Who has 40 fewer plays? Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill has a higher EPA generated as a passer in the last 3 years, and he has 40 fewer plays. So it's not entirely just about scalping it on the basis of injury, but it's weird to me. I can't square it because I have a huge affinity for him as a player.
I hate to be like the ultimate Lamar defender, but fuck's sakes, I don't want to use any of the data from the years for the receivers he's had the last couple of years. It's been just like, fuck, it's Mark Andrews and like 6 running backs again. What are we doing? Sure. Oh, we drafted a rookie. Oh, he's hurt. Like this guy, maybe I'm not defending him so much as saying it's still so hard to square because we saw what the ceiling was the one year. And then we have all these other weird variables getting thrown in with the injuries and the complete lack of, wide receivers for, basically all of last year. And then he was injured. It's really hard to square away he's good because the eye test, sometimes he just has one of those games where it's like, fuck, this guy's so good.
Yeah.
Like, he is just impossible. And, a couple weeks ago, maybe, the Lions game.
That was his best game as a pro going back to 2019.
Yeah.
He was incredible.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like, shit, if you get this from him.
That's just
it. That 80% of that. Drew.
More of a reflection, though, of the Lions defense and their aggressiveness. I mean, it kind of felt like it, right?
Yeah, they did a pretty bad job of like keeping him contained.
Everybody was biting on everything.
They'd get pressure and he'd be wide open with half the field.
Yeah,
That's an outlier the other way.
Yeah. Okay.
Again, not bad. Well, this one.
I like him as a player. I love watching him. I will root for his success. I would love to see him have success in the playoffs this year. I'm not going to win any money on it because I'm not going to bet on it. But I can't square the numbers right now that I'm
the division.
I can't square the numbers that I'm seeing right now with my opinion of the player. So I'm kind of lost here. I can say though that I think a guy like Burrow shows up for this game and puts on a performance, and I'm excited to see what he's got. The Bengals defense though scared the ever-loving shit out of me last week. They were awful. That was the two standout unit. I learned less about the Bengals and the Texans offenses last week, and I learned more about the Bengals and the Texans defense. And the Bengals defensive lessons were not good, and the Texans defensive lessons were these guys are kind of coming along. So, it was a weird game. I don't even know if it'll ultimately stand out as truth when it's all said and done, or if it was noise. But we can move on to Pittsburgh and Cleveland, and again, like I don't really have a lot of thoughts on the sex pest that is it's just what really got me going and why I'm upset at him today is the legitimate effort of the football information universe carrying so much water for what a heroic thing he did and playing through this injury and blah blah blah.
Who was it?
All of it. There was
one of the really big accounts, Drew, that said like
his shoulder could have blown up. Andy could have just crumbled.
Like, he played
if he plays another down of football, oh my god! If he plays another down of football, his shoulder he could have been permanently disabled. Andy, like get the fuck out of here! Like this guy is he is. I don't think it's an accident that after his first best game, which was week 3, he decides not to play week 4. It happens to be the,
I don't know, Drew. I saw him throw the ball when he came back. I think he was injured.
Okay. So he's not feeling 100%. He doesn't want to play if he's not feeling 100%.
Bad at deciding when to play or not with an injury. Like, you know how some guys are like good at listening to their body and like knowing.
Sure.
I think it's like the if you're playing NBA 2K and it's got like speed, shooting, awareness, and it's like listening to his body, -4.
Yeah.
He was just really, because he's like, I'm good to go. And then he comes in the first half of that game. I can't remember against who, but he threw a couple over the middle that were just Like you could hear his
You're
shoulder
talking about the Colts
grinding.
game where it was awful. Yeah,
That was awful. And then he got knocked out.
All the practice film too. All the practice film when they were like getting him out there and he was doing reps, it was like it doesn't look right. Like something's obviously wrong.
Well,
like,
I'm not saying he's
faking. I'm not saying he's faking an injury. I'm just saying that like whatever has gone wrong with him, it may need medical attention, but it doesn't. Nothing squares. Like getting cleared in the first place, and then the Browns' whole statement today, where they're like basically doing all this plausible deniability bullshit,
and
like
Mary Kate Cabot being in like opposite land,
being exactly wrong about at every step of the way here. Like it's just really confusing, and
Well, I want to put some of this on the team. We do live in this era, going back to the Herbert game where he called his own number, where a star quarterback can make a little more of a decision than probably they used to in the past about when they're going to play or not. But clearly the team did not do a good job of like deciding, hey, all right, he's good to go. Because like, we saw these passes in the game. I can't imagine it looked that much different in practice. Like they have to be able to look at this guy and be like, his shoulder's dicked. Like this guy should just sit for the year. And I think, there's probably a part of it too, where all I can picture is the coach, the coach in the program, or every bad coach, like, gosh, shoot up Paul Walker's knee and get him back in the game.
Sure.
Sure. It's the same thing.
I'm sure there's lots of that.
There is a little that, and this is in a way grander scale than Varsity Blues or whatever. Sure. You know what I'm referencing?
Yes.
There's $1 billion industry. It's like, shit, this defense is all world. Yeah, this team can make the playoffs. Yeah. We have to try this. And
why I don't really have a ton of, why I don't have a ton of sympathy though? Like his fucking contract is fully guaranteed. Like he's not getting another, bite at the apple here. He's got fully guaranteed money for years right now. So there's no crying over him being a hero here. And the narrative stuff just drove me off the wall today. Like, get out of here with this. Kind of trying to make it as though I just not here for it. And particularly playing as well as he did in the second half of that Ravens game, and then this being, my career's was threatened because I was playing. Like get out of here. So anyway, it is on a more positive note.
What surprised me today?
Yeah, what's that?
8-4 as a starter.
Yeah.
I would if you had said 12. If you had said 12 games, I would have guessed not that high.
Yeah, he did not. He is not one of the quarterbacks who generated more EPA than Lamar. By the way,
I'd forgotten they had some. They
won some ugly games, including against.
He was
the Ravens
3-3 last year.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have guessed that either. I just don't have that rosy of a remembrance of how he played last year. All-world defense. That's why this is 33.5. The Steelers' offense stinks at times, but they still have Pickens.
Yeah,
who can make some crazy catches if Pickens can get the ball up in the air before Myles Garrett murders him. Maybe Garrett swings another helmet. That would be fun. This is going to be a good one to watch, I guess, from a will someone score. This goes one of two ways. This game is messy as shit because DTR is not ready to be an NFL quarterback, and the Browns defense can cause some havoc. Or this is like third quarter, will we get a touchdown yet kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think this total might even still be a little high if you're into that sort of sicko bet. But Steelers were sitting at 2.5 all afternoon. I don't usually put teasers in early, but kind of saw the writing on the wall. I mean, I mentioned it in the Discord, like, hey, I'm putting teasers in now on this because it's a divisional game where the total's going to be 30. And it's kind of a teaser wet dream here. So I put it in with Vikings and a couple other teams that kind of fell in that zone right now. So that's about the only action I'll have on this one.
Okay. I find it funny. And I'm Browns fans, probably less so.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, so Drew, I know it's sex pest. You sold your soul.
No.
Don't. Let me run with it. Let me run with this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like, if this were another franchise, like a franchise that had like some, even if it was, let's say, God, Washington's a bad example. I'm trying to think of a team that won some Super Bowls in like the 80s or something. If it was a team, it's like, hey, this team's had some success.
Dallas.
At some Dallas. It's like, all right, you guys sold your soul for a criminal. You overpaid him. You gave him all this guaranteed money, and now bad things are happening to you. But I'm struggling to maybe the franchise and the front office, I can feel like good for you. The karma got you. But man, these fans have been through the fucking ringer. Austin, what was the name of that one guy that started? There were some really bad quarterbacks that started from this team for the last 15 years.
Tim Couch.
Big chunk of Deshaun Kaiser. There was one with Austin, was his name? Austin something.
The list is so grim.
It's Spurgeon win, man. We've had some bad quarterbacks. So, I kind of feel for Browns fans, man. They've been through it.
Yeah. All right. The DTR part of this that's amusing to me, and less so to Browns fans, is
Austin Davis. There you are.
DTR played well enough in the preseason for them to greenlight the trading of Josh Dobbs. And now Josh Dobbs almost got traded back to Cleveland, ultimately landed in Minnesota, and is having the renaissance he's having for the Vikings right now. But if DTR didn't play that well in the preseason, they probably stick with Dobbs as the backup. Yeah. And this is maybe a non-story because Dobbs comes in and maybe he's just like, oh, you put Deshaun on IR. Dobbs is playing great. We're good. Right. And then maybe this is just an entire different.
They were both behind Mond. Mond was looked at as a second quarterback for a little bit. It was kind of up. It was up in the air. It was a little ambiguous, but they quickly found out Kellen Mond isn't it. And then end up trading. It's funny that they did try to trade back for Dobbs. Hey, psych, we'd like him back. And now he's starting for probably a playoff team. Yeah.
And DTR, the tape on him from that Baltimore game was so phenomenally bad. It was DeVito-esque, if you want to comp.
Should have had 3 more turnovers, essentially.
Yeah, it was quite poor. And actually, if we're being honest here, DTR and Kenny Pickett, not all that far apart from each other in the creating turnovers department.
No, I was going to say, if you wanted me to make some
one game, yes, and Kenny Pickett's played
parlay both. Yeah. What is a parlay of both defenses to score?
Yeah, that's an interesting call. Yeah, anytime touchdown,
25 to 1. Yeah, better than that.
First time these guys played, there were Steelers wins on the basis of the first score and the last score were defensive touchdowns, which is sort of the genesis of the making tongue-in-cheek jokes about the Tomlin voodoo. I just want to tell you this about Mike Tomlin. Going back and watching the Packers Steelers tape. God damn it, that guy puts his players in a position to succeed. It is something else, man. You know who has been an underwhelming unit all year long? The offensive line for the Steelers and their ability to generate push in the rushing attack.
I forgot I could actually mute you.
It would.
I know. I was thinking about that. I was thinking about you today.
Completely defensible for Tomlin to step in and be like, "Look, guys, this unit is not getting it done. We're gonna we're gonna kick up our passing rate. We're gonna we got Deontay Johnson back.
I think he had a choice to make there. We're gonna kick up our passing rate with Kenny Pickett, or we need to really start this off.
I think he looked at his opponent. He decided, what is a good way to attack these guys? We're going to bully them off the line, and we are going to run the ball down their throats. And it worked spectacularly.
Would it be fair to say he's schematically the Napoleon of the NFL?
I'll give him.
Saw that preview today.
Yeah, I give him. He's more of a desert fox. He's more of a tank commander like the Desert Fox than he is in Napoleon.
It's like if Alexander the Great and Napoleon had to be.
That's fair. That's completely fair.
I made an Erwin Rommel reference one time about noobs, and somebody's like, "Did you just call noobs a Nazi?"
Nazi?
No,
this is one of the good ones. No.
And we're on to Houston.
Okay, so
are you betting this at these current numbers?
No, I have a big old bet on Steelers money line though, from when it was +4 and at +177. I caught the Pico top on this money line, and honestly, I did it and said it everywhere, that it was on the basis of literally, I was like, Deshaun Watson had an ankle MRI, like he might call his own number again and be like, I'm not good to go. And even if he does go, I was like, his mobility was such a huge part of him succeeding these last handful of weeks. And if his ankle's not feeling great, like Steelers might get him. So
65-1 says Fodzilla.
All right, I like that.
I'm gonna play that for a few bucks. That's just a fun one if it hits.
I just will tell you this final thought on the Steelers. When you get your guys worked up, your offensive line, you know what they love to do? They love to road grade. That's what they want to do. They want to be like a road grading, a punch the other guys in the mouth type of team. Tomlin did it last week against the Packers. I would expect that he continues to get plus performance out of this offensive line. Meanwhile, DTR, this is being talked about relatively lately, Andy. He's behind an offensive line with no tackles, and he's got no Nick Chubbs coming to save the day.
No, that was part of the handicap last week too.
Yes.
It's like, man, and you have no tackles. You have TJ Watt. You have Alex Highsmith, who is again. We're gonna keep mentioning Highsmith because I'm in love with that guy.
He's awesome.
He should be. There might be a Alex Highsmith Defensive Player of the Year bet in like 2 years. Yeah, like he's kind of got to get out of Watt's shadow a little. Maybe he's not on this team in 2 years, and he's he's the star pass rusher somewhere. Fuck, he's good. So, all right. Yeah, I'm done with this one. Arizona, Houston.
Mike Tomlin, coach of the year. All right.
Fucker's getting votes. He's gonna get votes.
Yeah, I just am excited to see where this goes, because it is just one last funny thought. It is funny that the entire NFL commentary universe is picking on Kenny Pickett for how little production he has from a passing touchdown standpoint, but like, guy is not turning the ball over. Like, if you have everything else that they have with Pittsburgh, like, it's kind of, you just want a game manager, and he is managing games. So I don't really know why you want him to be, Joe Burrow or Josh Allen all of a sudden. So I'm fine with Kenny Pickett being Kenny Pickett. I don't
I think the reason he doesn't turn the ball over is because they're like 25th in third down conversion rate.
Sure.
They're out there playing defense an awful lot. I bet the Cardinals.
You did? Oh, okay. What number did you get? 5?
5, just a smaller bet. I like this one though. I like that they're filling their infinity gauntlet with just like cast-offs. They signed Michael Carter.
Yeah, that was a good pickup. I thought. I was surprised the Jets jettisoned him. He must have hit on the owner's daughter or something.
Pass protection.
Is that what it was?
Blitz pickup, not super. And they kind of had I think they had plenty at running back. I don't know if it was something they needed to, move some roster pieces around to bring some other guys in for some depth here or there. I haven't dug into why. I don't think he was bad. I'd like him as an addition. As far as, because they need a lot of pieces. This is a bad team. This is a bottom 5 team in the league.
Mm-hmm.
They need a lot of things once they start drafting. But man, like, getting Kyler back makes maybe the biggest difference, because you had a team. Dobbs was good, but like, especially when you say like, hey, we might start Clayton Tune a bit, or this is what we're going to put out there in film. I mean, we saw what that it was. We're going to say DeVito-esque a lot, because that's what we're getting from some of these quarterbacks. He looked fine. He looked fast. He looked like he was reading the plays well. He was extending plays. That's a big part of his game. If he's running the ball a little more, this hasn't been a great defense. This is a secondary you can beat. I know they've gotten some pieces back and gotten healthier, but nothing about this defense impressed me all that much last week. And that was a tough test. They got the win, but this kind of feels shootout-ish.
Does it?
I kind of want another one of those. That was fun last week. I didn't have any, real skin in the game in Houston, Cincinnati, other than it was nice for Baltimore that Cincinnati lost. It was nice if Baltimore actually won. I guess it was a nice little kind of consolation prize for AFC North futures, but I'm kind of just cheering for that again. Although it'd be nice if it was just 35-0 Arizona.
Yeah,
I'd like a rocking chair once in a while. Yeah, I like the matchup here against this secondary. I'm not super impressed with parts of this pass rush. I think Murray is a massive upgrade. We might be. This is a team that moved from, hey, guess what? We're like, 8 points worse on a neutral than an average team, to fuck, I'm bumping you up. You're kind of in the man, you're still in the basement, but you're not in like the sub basement. You're in like a root cellar now.
Yeah.
It's still just, I can't get this team too much of a bump based on the rest of the roster.
Okay.
But having a starting level, probably top 15 quarterback, if he gets back to form, makes such a massive difference. So it's probably too many points.
I mean, in the current landscape,
and we're
NFL,
just selling the
Texans.
We're just selling the Texans at the height.
Yeah, that's
like Texans by a field goal.
I will. The one other thing to support your handicap, I kind of feel that maybe I'll add this too and ride with you here because I kind of feel I get everything you're saying, and the only other thing I can add is that the Cardinals are a defense that tries to take away the explosive, and that is kind of how the Texans are making their money right now. And these guys, like, I don't have a good read on why the Texans injury report is 50 players long every week, and then a lot of those guys play. I mean, presumably they're not all in 100% good health, and this is, it's at some point the bill is going to come due on that, and these guys are going to play down. So, Cardinals is a decent look, and anything over a field goal where you're at, rookies land, more than 3 points. That's probably a decent opportunity to bet against. So,
I think we're just kind of selling Houston at the top of their market too.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, they lost to the Panthers. Let's pump the brakes a little. It's a very good team.
Yeah.
Ryans is going to get a bunch of Coach of the Year votes. Stroud is like minus 3,000 to win Rookie of the Year. I think he's on pace. I think he's on pace for the most yards in the league, not just rookies.
Yeah, that sounds right to me.
A massive amount of yards. He had a couple fumbles. That's obviously a huge issue. That's the other thing too. Like, I feel like I'm gonna have to go look at turnovers here, but I feel like Arizona's been a little opportunistic on that as well. So I'm riding with Kyler. Call of Duty, baby, or Modern Warfare, whatever.
Cool. I think that's fair.
What do you think of this total? What do you have on that?
I am higher than 47.5. What is it currently?
That's what I'm saying. I'm a little tempted to bet
48.5
in this game.
Yeah.
I'm at like 49.5.
I know
it's higher.
It's probably more like one where you let the game kind of unfold a little bit in the first half and then make a decision about if it's been over adjusted or if it's a good second half over.
This is funny. That I have seen a lot of bad reviews and people bitching about the new Call of Duty.
Okay. Interesting.
Maybe that's an angle here. Maybe he's like, fuck this game. I'll go read my playbook. Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Patrick's kind of on the same wavelength as me with the current landscape of quarterbacks. Kyler might be top 10 right now. It's not crazy at all. Especially with Deshaun Watson out for the season. All right. Let's move on to LA Green Bay. I did bet this one and I took Packers plus 3.5. I bet minus 114. It's good to 3 minus 110, which is where it is right now. That's a poor joke at the discourse on Twitter in the last couple of hours. But
A-OK to
plus 3.
You see Pinnacle Beaters tweet?
Yes, I enjoyed that. Yeah, good to. Yes, I just made a release. It's good to exactly the number I released, which is kind of, if you're touting, that's kind of it's kind of
you shouldn't be having a huge range. I get it.
All right. The Chargers Green Bay angle is pretty straightforward right now. There's been a little bit of Chargers comeback, I guess. Bookmaker has minus 3, minus 120 right now, which I am wondering who's on Chargers. This Packers squad is playing better offense, no doubt. This Packers squad, I think, matches up fairly well against the Chargers in 2 regards. Number one,
defense is fucking dog shit.
The Chargers is.
Yeah,
the Chargers is.
God, that game.
Yeah, and the Chargers defense is getting by on pressure alone, right? And they're not going to generate quick pressures against a good offensive line in Green Bay. And that means there's going to be opportunities here for Jordan Love to attack down the field. I like the chemistry he's building with Wicks. Watson's a disappointment, but the rest of that unit is starting to continue to develop. And I think, I think this Chargers defensive secondary is super, super aggressively bad. And they're going to give up some yards through the air here to Jordan Love and company. And then on the flip side, the way that the Chargers are rostered right now offensively, the way they're, the way they're set up schematically, they're not a kind of team that can punch you in the mouth and push you all over the field like the Steelers did. They're more finesse, and they are absolutely lacking playmakers in the wide receiver room that are going to be able to hurt the Packers down the field, particularly with the Packers having all of those defensive backs out there. I don't know one way or the other if Keenan Allen will go, but I mean, Brandon Staley's comments were pretty ominous today. Like, we hope he'll be available. Like, that's not a questionable at all.
Dude,
That's
if
doubtful.
Keenan misses, what should this total be? Because yes, the Chargers defense is bad, but Green Bay isn't going to put up 30, man.
Are they not?
I don't think they have that. I don't know if they have that in them. Even
They
at home.
They did it against the Bears. When the Bears were playing about as well as the Chargers are playing now.
Wasn't that week 1 though?
Yeah.
That's before the book was out on all the rookies.
That's a good point.
That Bears team, that was an ugly game. I feel like there were some turnovers.
There were some turnovers, yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's probably, you're right. If Keenan Allen doesn't go, it is probably too high, because I don't know how the Chargers respond and answer and stay in this game and are competitive, and let alone cover 3. Like,
how many points do you think you need out of the Packers?
Yeah, we're not even talking about the road team here, who I think is at a disadvantage on offense and defense, like staying inside a number. They have to cover a 3 here, which is why I think if you miss the plus 3.5 and it doesn't get back there, and then honestly, I get it. If it gets back there, that means somebody very smart thinks the Chargers ought to be 3.5. But I think their money line is worth a look too. It's like plus 155 right now. I'm not there at all. I'm at like plus 140. So there's decent edge right there on the money line for Packers still. And, I think there's a lot of game states that play right into their hands here. And even if it is comeback mode for this Packers team, like, they've been pretty dynamite in comeback mode and deficits this season. So hoping that they can get back inside the number as the time gets, close to the final. That's a reasonable angle as well. So a lot of reasons I think to like the Packers this week. And I promise I'm not just saying this so that we have some juice in the first Thanksgiving Day game, because a 3-7 Packers team heading into Detroit is not really a fun handicap. But 4-6 off a win, all of a sudden this is offense.
I think that game's going to be
weeks.
fun.
Yeah.
I think that game's going to be fun. I really do not believe in that Detroit defense.
I think we're at a buy low for Green Bay.
I think Green Bay scores more in that one than they do in this one. Yeah, I was trying to think of the last time Green Bay put up some points. And after that outburst in Chicago, it was 24, 18, 20, 13, 17, 10, 20, 19. They're just not a 30-point team. That's where, if Keenan doesn't go, probably grabbing some Packers money line, just like 20 points might win this.
Yeah, Aaron Jones, by the way, super dynamic player. He's going to put a hurting on this Chargers defense. And you know what else is another plus in the category for Packers, Andy? Brandon Staley is going to keep calling plays for the defense.
Yeah,
awesome.
Saw that.
Yes, great call, Brandon Staley. Keep calling those plays.
Yeah, I'm not super excited about that call.
Okay.
Let's get a defensive coordinator in there to help you, bud.
Yeah,
New York Giants at Washington.
Real quick, Nick C's comment. I love this. Start the Love Is Our Guy next year tour. Like, you can kind of see that happening, right? Like,
they've already talked about.
Yeah, this pivoting from we're done with them to let's give them another year. Like, it's coming. Like, the Packers are going to win too many games to be picking so high in the draft they can pick as replacements. So they're gonna talk themselves into sticking with them for one more year. I can't guarantee you that, but that arc feels very likely to me. Yeah. All right, shower part.
Yeah, I mean, Howell should have a good day against this defense. I don't know. We're missing. Who's the secondary piece here missing last week?
For who?
For the Giants. Name
Banks,
escaping me.
Jackson,
younger fella.
They were missing like pretty much everybody.
They were missing a few pieces, but they were missing one that kind of stuck out. And again, it was one of those.
Adoree Jackson, Deontay Banks.
Adoree Jackson. That was the one I was thinking of. It was one of those where it's like, oh, that's problematic, but also it doesn't matter. Like, that's the difference between losing by 40 and 38. kind of.
Yeah.
And it's not that he's worth 2 points, but it was a rough hang. And yes, they did score a little in the second half, but we mentioned this in the recap. The Cowboys gave them the ball basically in the red zone, and not basically in the red zone, and the Cowboys failed on 4th and goal, both in the first half, still won 28-0. Cowboys are a better offense, a better team in general than the Commanders, who did some selling at the trade deadline. But what's changed for what the Giants have to go up against? Maybe a little easier pass rush, an easier secondary to beat. But I didn't see a whole lot of play calling that gave me a lot of confidence. DeVito with a little more time to prep, but probably gonna, I looked at this plus 10 and I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I hope there's some more Giants money and I can just tease this. This might end up in a 7-point teaser for me. Like just Commanders winning by 3-10. That's I think that's kind of your modal outcome. It's just the spread's in doubt, but the game never really is.
Yeah, I mean, you can make some money this time of year finding the right dogs to get behind. The Giants aren't one of them.
I can't do this.
Not in their state. Do you say the laundry list of players missing is still an absolute mile long.
Yeah, it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't. Kind of like, oh man, I can't put real money on Tommy DeVito. Oh, I can't lay this many points with a team like the Commanders, even at home in division. Like, it's basically a both sides pass kind of thing.
Yeah.
I just want to see Howell I'm enjoying Howell. It just as watching
he's
the games.
Gotten substantially better.
He has a huge arm.
You know what's funny about
Joey's pointing out, this is my favorite whale, is the Hoggets one.
Yeah.
Howell-a-ban.
The Howell arc has been kind of predictable in hindsight, and I'm kind of mad I didn't make more money on this because he checked every box of this guy's got a pulse as a quarterback through the first handful of weeks of the season, except for the sacks. Right. Yeah. And that's a thing that you can teach. It's the
easiest thing to correct.
You can teach a guy.
It's not form. It's not like throwing motion.
And actually, the other funny thing was their first reaction was, well, we just got to put more guys in to protect. We're going to max protect. And then that took, pass catchers away, and that didn't fix the problem. And now they found other ways to coach him out of it. And he's playing great. And whereas talking yourself into Jordan Love is maybe a long-term issue in Green Bay, talking yourself into Sam Howell, considering what he's getting compensated, give it to him, man. Keep giving him the ball.
I feel like I'm going to blame Sam. I think Sam talked me out of him preseason. I'm going to blame somebody from Discord. I never shit on the Discord guys, but that's not fair. I talked myself out of him too. When we watched some preseason and early season Howell, it's like, this guy has a fucking cannon. This guy is making good reads. This guy is a chicken with his head cut off as soon as there's pressure. He looked so bad. His brain just froze as soon as he gets a pass rusher in his face. And that has improved. He's gotten better at that. Yeah. So I'm in on Howell long term. I think he could be a good enough quarterback here.
What do you think a week of prep looks like for Dable and Kafka right now? Because Tommy DeVito can't throw the football, and he's the guy taking every snap. And I don't really understand why they're doing what they're doing. Do you? Does it feel intentional?
What's the option? If Tyrod is back, you start Tyrod, but he's hurt.
Barkley.
Your option is Barkley. Barkley hasn't played for whatever. And Barkley's not giving you that much better. I'd tank. Hey, you can do this under the guise, if you're the front office, the coaches, the powers that be. You do this under the guise of, well, we got a young kid. Let's see what he's got. Let's play him for 3-4 weeks. We can't judge this off one game against a top defense. That's not fair. Let's give him a few games. Well, this was a road game against a Commanders team that got a lead early. We can't judge it off them. It does feel a little intentional, and I love it if that's true. For sure. What is your record? What is the point of winning games? Every team should have a cut. Drew, it's like when you talked about your booby prize.
Sure. They decided early enough. They decided at the right decision. They decided at the right week. Your biggest regret
was not switching to booby prize 1 week earlier.
1 week earlier. Yeah.
So many teams they probably wish man, why didn't we just start the bad quarterback a little earlier? And this is kind of a nice top heavy draft. You can get really good, but how good would a top end receiver look on this team? maybe, if you move in it, maybe you move a free agent quarterback instead of drafting one. But like Drake May, Marvin Harrison Jr., even I think you probably still need another piece of the offensive line. Even if you don't end up that high, there's a couple of guys they're projecting top 10, top 15. I would love it if Shane is behind this and he's saying, put Tommy Two Shoes out there and let's just lose some games.
He does have two shoes. You got to give him that.
That has been said about him. All right. Tennessee and Jacksonville.
I didn't bet this one. And I don't know why the Jags are so heavy favorite. But
so some people have made some good cases for Jags, and I still just can't because I saw, I don't know, when you identify problems with the team preseason and they solve them, you're like, oh, all right. When there's a problem that rears its head during the season and there's a reason for it, like, well, they lost their left tackle, they lost their center, and one of their tight ends, like the protection's not going to be as good. That's an issue now. It's a cluster injury. It's a quarterback problem. It's a coach firing. But like all the problems we identified with, like, the Jags would be in trouble if they don't improve the offensive line. They don't improve the run blocking, the pass protection. If they don't improve a few things on the defense, like all those things looked pretty rough last week. And it's hard to judge. And I use this kind of train of thought, line of thinking with other teams, like, it was the Niners off a bye. What are you going to do? But I mean, I didn't see anything good last week. And a lot of it was the same issues that we've seen in any of the games where they've struggled or lost. Like, I'm not seeing that step forward with this team. That said, Will Levis has sucked outside of the Atlanta game. Like they had so many drives in that second half with a chance to, get inside at least the teaser number.
Yeah.
Get some points, just a lot of bad passes. Levis was good against Atlanta and has had two real shit games. They have some other injuries. They got Burks that's been hurt. They've not have a good defense. This is their third straight road game, I believe.
Yeah.
There's no reason for me to back Tennessee, even if I'm scared of laying it with Jags.
Yeah. So I think that was all very well said. And the issues with the Jags offense are very concerning long-term. Surely.
Yeah. What do you think of the coaching right now, Drew?
I don't understand it. I had a lot more, like I have Peterson in the top tier.
Yeah.
And it's not going as well as it should be this year. I hope that that's just because we're not at the promised land yet and we're getting there. But I also want to say that there is a non-zero chance that last week's no-show was in some way rust. Right? The Jags played one game in like 4 weeks.
They had a weird schedule.
It was weird. It was a weird schedule. It maybe took some guys out of rhythm. It maybe took some guys out of their normal prep. And also the Jags were a team that went into their bye hot. They've covered 5 in a row. Early season mission accomplished. We're not necessarily gonna, really drill down and try to fix X, Y, and Z.
They had the weird London thing. That has to throw the whole season for a loop.
Yeah, there was some bizarre circumstances last week, and this week is a more normal week, and you are the better team, and you better win this game because you're healthier and you're better, you're rostered. And if the Titans somehow tip this one in their, and if the Jags bottle this, like, fuck, man, like every alarm that you can hit, like this is a huge problem because this Titans team is not good enough to compete with you in
that's right. I think if you want the Titans here, if you really are, alarm bells are going off, hey, the Titans are maybe the side here, I'm just off on the Jaguars and everything they're doing, you probably take this under.
Yeah. So that's the other funny.
It's a case where it's like this game ends up, 17-3.
Yeah.
And you're feeling like, we didn't get the best Jaguars today, but the Titans still never had a chance to cover.
Yeah. And at the same time, the total is unbettable because if the Jaguars offense does click and they're playing with a lead, that defense gives up garbage points like it's their fucking job. And I'd love it to be like
10-0 at half, and then second half over 19.5.
That would be nice. That would be nice. That would be really nice. I will also say that I will not be the guy to lose a 5th over on a Titans and a Jags game this season. I've lost a lot of overs on Titans and Jags games this year, and I need to stop. I think this one is a very much evaluate what's going on at halftime, and there's probably a bet to be had on the total, but pregame, this is a complete stay away from me. Let's move on to a game that I like a lot, and I want your opinion on. Chicago Bears, bear down for finals, Andy. This is,
I mean, we talked about this off the air like Monday.
This is a rare one. This is a weird one, right? Like, we're at a weird spot with the market rating for both of these defenses. Okay, don't look at unpredictable and just guess for me. What is the market unpredictable number on Bears defense right now?
I don't ever look at it.
Not points, but just ranking. Like where are they? How is the market
Bears defense for
defense?
the season?
Yeah. What's this is the current rating, the current 12th market rating. So this is the predictive
12th
rating for how the Bears defense 31st. Lions defense predictive rating for the going forward is what?
Like 20th?
20th, exactly. Right. Which is
why are the Bears so low? Everybody came back. They signed a pass rusher.
Their rush defense.
Over the last quarter, over the last 4 games, they're like top 10 in.
Yes, yeah. If you just go from week 4 to now, they're like top 8 EPA per play defense.
Yeah,
it's really weird. So the market is treating this Bears defense.
It's not how Bears works, terrible. Guys.
It's like they're treating them like they're terrible. And what I especially like about the Bears defense matchup in this game is that the Lions have had a pretty clear, bellwether of they do great, they succeed, everything's going great when there is a rushing component to their offense and it's balanced. When there is not, they have had a tougher time scoring points this year. There is a 1-to-1 correlation of rushing yards and scoring output for the Lions this year. And really the standout games where they would have covered big numbers, those were big rushing performances from this Lions team, right? So
and it is like a weakness on strength that kind of negates a strength. Whereas like, hey, this has been a good pass rush win rate, however you want to rate this. Like, this offensive line has been good against the pass rush. Bears don't have a pass rush. Like, yeah, they traded for a guy.
Their pressure rate is up, but they're not getting
the pressure
home,
rate is good, but yeah, they still don't get sacks. So it's like, well, we're stopping them from getting their 1 sack today. Like, you're almost wasting a strength. Whereas, like, I don't know if I love, and I do love ARSB. I love these running backs, but this is a good rush defense, especially lately.
Yeah.
And this is just a good defense in general lately.
Yeah.
Where I almost bet this under. I just can't do it.
Yeah. Okay. So then let's flip the script here. And a hair of trepidation being that this is Fields' first game back. And he's coming off of a thumb injury.
Yeah, he could just stink, man.
He could just stink. That's very, very possible. But the Lions defense is a good get right squad if you have a quarterback who has dynamic rushing ability, because they are so aggressive and they bite on fucking everything that you should be able to craft a game plan that utilizes
clean up
the thumb. Yes.
And even using the thumb, clean up on play action.
Clean up on play action. Yes.
Clean up on DJ, just getting DJ Moore the ball in space.
Yeah. You know who had no problem?
Oh, they didn't tackle good on that play. Yeah.
You know who had no problem beating up this Lions defense last week? You know who had no problem generating massive separation against this Lions secondary? Every good wide receiver they've played. Every single one of them. I think DJ Moore can absolutely create a mismatch in this contest. I think the Bears should be inside of a touchdown here. This one looks way off to me, and it is aggressive. And honestly, the only reason that I'm not more staked on this game and more staked on the Bears pulling off the impossible is that I do have questions about old number one's thumb. and whether there'll be some fumbles or some fluky picks here, because the Bears, their offensive line is playing great. Fields should have all the time in the world.
I know. I looked for some, and I didn't look very hard. I'm sure I can find some, but I wanted clips of him throwing. I wanted to watch some practice clips. I didn't get into my Bears beat writer list too deep, but that's on the list of things to do tomorrow, because I'm with you. And I do think that while the Lions are a very, very tempting teaser leg at home, Bears team total over here is a look for me.
Yeah.
And if I can get some, and you say, well, you made a lot of cases for their defense playing well. Yeah, the defense gets the ball back. That's what I want from this defense. 3 and outs, get the ball back. Get me 10 or 12 cracks at the end zone. Get me more plays. Get me time of possession. Get me a bunch of drives. Get me a lot of TJ Moore. Oh, we got breaking news. I'm guessing this is Golden Griffin related.
That's got to be right
from Brinks.
It's got to be Golden Griffin related. They were playing the Cleveland State Vikings tonight, and I was nervous about that. I just got to say, if you want a kind of a more sound angle on this game, because you're like, hey, look, man, the Lions aren't stupid. You guys know this. They know this. You're probably right. Ben Johnson might craft a game plan that's doesn't really utilize David Montgomery and Gibbs, who are splitting usage anyway, which means both of their rushing yards and rushing attempts unders are probably decent looks in this game, if I had to say so. What say you, Andy?
And not only that, but the Lions have the short week to the primetime game. Look ahead. I'm not sure if the Packers are a true look ahead. We got to beat the Packers. You got to beat everybody. You're vying for a 1 seed here. Yeah, I can see this being a Lions continually need to go down and get points to keep their lead. Yeah. Lions win by 3.
Yeah, I could see that too. But I took the +10 here. I am happy with my play. It has moved.
Yeah, Bears team total around now. Bears team total around 20. Something I like.
Okay. If I could only have one, if you were gonna give me unlimited stakes on any weird bet in this one, give me Gibbs and Montgomery.
Such a fucking
unders.
Weird hypothetical.
What?
If you were gonna give me unlimited stakes on something weird,
well, how much can you realistically get down? I'm not botting into 120 pph.
Okay. I get what you're saying. The limit on a prop that's normally $100 is my most
trustworthy out will give me $250 on this play. So I don't think it's really worth
on interceptions or what?
No, on Montgomery and Gibbs rushing yards. Under.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Basically, just play on either Ben Johnson being smart and not running those guys, or those guys trying to run and not being successful. I think either one is a fair bet. Let's move on.
Not really an ad read, more of a if you guys want to help out. Obviously, hit the thumbs up. That's massive.
I will help out for sure. You know what? I'm going to go thumbs up while you're doing the
thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up. But also another little thing you can do is sign up. And this isn't just for me. This is for you. One of the biggest things you can do to improve your ROI in betting, one of the biggest things you can do to help get you the best of the number is just have more outs. And even if you had Barstool, you can get this ESPN book. It is live in 17 states, and the main offer is $200 in just bonus bets. But through Bleacher Nation, which is our Chicago news site that we own, they have a promo code that gets you an extra 50. So just a nice little bonus. The promo code is Bleacher, like the word bleacher, like what you would sit on at a game. ESPN bet, use the promo code Bleacher. You get 250 instead of 200. Get the free money, get the other out. Find one more place to bet. If you have any questions, hit me. But literally, it is Bleacher, and it is in 17 states. So get yourself a new out. ESPN bet. Rebranded pen unit.
I was number 94. So appreciate you guys today giving us some positive reinforcement. You know what? All these likes, let's keep doing this show. Let's keep doing it.
Let's do the second half.
Keep doing it. Okay. Raiders, Dolphins. I laid the points with the Dolphins. The complicated handicap is the Dolphins can probably get to 35 or 40 points here.
Is there a case for alts?
I think there is, because this is a two-sided handicap, in my opinion.
Can I tell you what the second side is?
Yeah, go ahead.
If they're up by a bunch, they might accidentally keep scoring with their running backs.
That's a good point.
This is such a plus.
It's a great point.
For both running backs. If Achane is back, those guys might have 150 each. Like, even if they're trying to just salt the game away, it might be like you remember, again, this is my favorite game to talk about for some reason. It's like the Georgia TCU game where they're up by 40, the game is over, and they're just they're still getting like 12 yards of carry.
Like we're trying to end this. But
this isn't even our starting running back, guys. He's still getting 8.5 a carry here. So that's my main look. I looked at some alts here. I looked at Dolphins, just team totals overs, even though it's a pretty high number, because even if they're winning and trying to run the clock out in the third quarter, this is not a team that's going to stop the run. And you have good running backs, good running scheme, and a pretty decent offensive line. So I'm with you in a different way. I'm going to be looking at a few different props on Achane if he plays. And I know Lipscomb liked him for receiving yards, but like basically everything Dolphins positive, Dolphins running, Dolphins alts. Yeah, what a shitty matchup. This is like the end of the good times for Pierce.
Well, he's got a bye week coming up.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can smoke cigars in the bye week.
No, they got some winnable
good point
games
to Jeff Wilson
later.
Is like Jeff Wilson's starting for the Vikings this week if he's playing,
Yeah. No, this is a bad one because if you look at like the Raiders metrics on and again, like I'm very, very happy that they won last week against the Jets. That kind of saved saved my Sunday. Honestly.
I had no faith in the first.
That saved my Sunday. But like, you want to know some of the quarterbacks that you look at the Raiders.
Look at the last 2 weeks.
Look at the last 5 weeks, man. They have played in the last 5 weeks. The quarterbacks they have played have been Zach Wilson, Tommy DeVito, Jared Goff, who shredded them.
Yes.
Teabag and Mac Jones. And then one more week back, Jordan Love. You have played 5 of the 6 bottom.
Those are quarterbacks. Like 4 of those guys are not ranked in the top 32.
Yes. I mean, 4 of those guys, may not start over DTR for the Browns this week. Like that's kind of the situation, and that is padding your defensive statistics, guys. I don't know what else to tell you. You're going to have a tough time stopping this team that, just like visualize in your head what the Lions offense looked like against the Raiders. Can you visualize that, Andy? They looked pretty good. They looked pretty good. I know you were sick that day, and you might have been not focusing on the game or remembering the tape, but they absolutely was no resistance from the Raiders defense that day. Now imagine that. Now imagine that with faster players and with even better schemes.
Imagine the fastest fucking imagine the Jamaican 4x4, medley relay race. Medley, that's swimming. What am I doing?
Yeah, it's medley.
You know what I mean? The 4x4.
Yeah. You have Olympic caliber speed. This should be a fun one. I laid I think I laid 13 plus 101.
It's silly to lay this many points, but the number's not that far from where it should be, and it's just such a bad matchup for comeback time for Aiden O'Connell. It is a bad,
that's the other thing. That was the two-way. That was the two-way, which is that you're getting Dolphins defense on the come up at the same time as you're getting Raiders sell high on the defense. That's
it's
beautiful.
Like I said, it's the running game that is just going to score even when they're not trying, and then also a defense that is very much on the rise. That's what was so annoying about the fucking Bills losing. I said this 2 weeks ago. I said I'm not interested in Miami today. I'm interested in Miami long term because the O-line and the secondary and the defense are all coming together, and we might have a good price. And Buffalo is ruining the good prices on Miami.
They're ruining it.
I'm still in on them mentally. I just need to see if the prices work out. So, I'm probably gonna be looking at another team total over for Miami.
Okay.
It's one of those where it's like, they need 4 points in the second half. Hopefully,
you want to know what my median projection? You want to know my median projection for points scored by Miami is?
30.2.
35.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's aggressive as fuck, dude. I love that.
That's how good they are.
Yeah.
And this is the perfect freaking matchup for them. Oh God, they're gonna.
What is it? What is this total? Is this accurate? 40. So let's just call it 24 plus 6. Yeah, the team total is gonna be like 29.5, 30. I'm on that. I'm on it.
All right. I think
Carolina.
Full game over. Probably good too. All
is
right.
this another one where it's like, hey, Dallas? You know what I called Dallas today?
What'd you call him?
Quad A baseball player.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Like, yeah, I dig that.
Hey,
they drop down to the minors and they raking
at AAA, comes up to the majors, fucks it up, strikes out versus the Eagles with the bases loaded. Beats the shit out of the Giants. Gonna play the Eagles again in a couple weeks.
It's more like warning track power as opposed to striking out, I think.
Yeah, but can of corn to the warning track, because it's a good team. It's a good team. They are beating the tar out of bad teams, and then they go on national TV, look bad against the Niners, have a very, very good chance to beat the Eagles in that game.
Yeah,
they were playing really good ball for most of that game. Couldn't quite put all the pieces together at the end. It's a tough team to kind of put together, but it's another bad team, but it's on the road.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you quite make of this. It might just be like a Cowboys first half. They've come out pretty hot in general.
Yeah. I looked really, really hard at playing Panthers. I'll be completely honest.
I couldn't do it. I make this like 11 and a half.
I couldn't do it either because the defense might just absolutely smother the Panthers here. The Panthers, by the way, going back to Frank Reich as the playing caller.
Yeah,
for reasons, I guess Frank Reich realizes, I guess if I'm going to get fired this year, I might as well do it calling plays.
Yeah.
that's kind of the vibe I get from that decision, right? Is that crazy? He's like, I'm going to get fired one way or the other. I might as well call my own plays doing it. The Cowboys don't really fit perfectly well with their offense against this Panthers defense. And this is maybe a take I just want to put under my hat for 1 week, which is I think the Panthers defense is fixed after the bye. They have a good coordinator in Najiro Evero. They're healthier now. They still suck at stopping the run, but I think the linebacker play is better. I think the secondary play is better. I think the Panthers might be a top half defense the rest of the way. I just don't really want to count on their offense doing jack squat in this game against the Cowboys defense.
The last two games, and granted it was, Minshew and Bajent, but the defense, the defense, and they lost both those games, but the defense wasn't horrible, and they still were not completely healthy. I'm with you there.
They did well against Stroud. Stroud just shredded Big Lou.
Yeah. That one, I'm still trying to come to grips with how that game kind of played out. The defense was probably better against the Bears, but the fact that they got they got the win kind of tilts that one weirdly with me. But they've had some bad tackling games against teams with speed, teams with good, just high-end offensive pieces. It was really bad against the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah,
so
that was a bad one.
Weird. Like CeeDee Lamb is going to have a huge game. No shit, Andy. So, maybe Cowboys first half. I tried to make a case for all these double-digit dogs.
Yeah,
it's a really tough week to do it.
You want a crazy observation?
I do.
Number one, or give me the rank of the Panthers EPA per play defense the last 4 weeks.
19.
Number 3.
Jeez, that wasn't even. When I guess, I'm either like, oh my God, Andy, you were right on, or I'm so far off.
Number 1 is the Jets. Number 2 is the Ravens. Number 3 is the Carolina Panthers. That's pretty wild. And I think, I hope that the speed shreds them this week because the Panthers go on the road at the Titans.
It's got to be just
at the Titans next week.
Stroud's good. Because if you look from you're just going EPA per play.
Yeah.
If you go weeks 4 through now, they're 26th.
Well, yeah, you throw Miami in there. Everybody,
you got to throw the Miami game. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
It's throw in a game where it would be something similar to a Dallas.
Yeah, I'm very guilty of that.
I don't trust him here.
Very guilty of end pointing. My point was just coming off the bye, they were healthier. Coming off the bye, Ejiro Evero seems to have a better idea of what he's working with. And I think the Panthers defense is probably going to finish the second half of the season as top 10. All that said, I don't think you exercise that opinion this week. I think you wait for the next stretch of games, which is Titans, Bucks, Saints. I think this Panthers defense might keep them in all of those games. Hopefully they get blown out.
The only issue is 3 straight road games. Those are all road games.
Yeah,
Titans,
that's
Bucks,
true.
Saints.
You think that? But you know what? You know what they say, Andy?
Defense travels.
That's right. That's right.
I don't know if I can get with you on top 10. I'll say top half.
Okay.
I agree with the points. It's just I'm not quite as aggressively adjusting because sometimes a defense can be better than we know, but when they're put in constant bad situations by a lackluster and horseshit offense, they're not going to live up to their potential. That's why I struggle to see them being top 10.
Gotcha.
Because you to be a really, really good defense like that, you have to have like the whole package. You have to be like Jets, where it doesn't matter how bad the offense is playing. We're still going to show up and just, damn near. Someone said skull fuck in the they were referencing a comment you made about Dallas. But I mean, even when it's not happening, that Jets defense can show up. They're not quite there.
Yeah.
Tampa, San Francisco. I gave Baker his flowers, and he's been better, and they have pieces. This defense has been beat up, but they played a pretty bad team last week, and seeing what Purdy was able to do off the bye, I'm still thinking about taking the Bucs here. It's a lot of points. So many points at home, Drew. Like, I have the Niners, my second best team, maybe first. I'm gonna have to look what my update has.
This should be top 2.
Week by week, they are.
If you have them above,
uno.
If you have them above the Eagles, I am not stopping you. If you have them below the Chiefs, I think that's probably reasonable, just because Pat Mahomes is still the best man on earth.
I have San Francisco, Baltimore, Kansas City, Philly in that order, with tiny gaps. I mean, it's basically we're getting close to a 4-way tie there, and then there's a decent little gap down to Dallas, Buffalo, Miami, Detroit.
Yeah, that works.
But San Francisco still, like I said, my top rated team, but I only have Tampa like a point and a half worse on a neutral than an average team, and they're at home. It's a lot of points. San Francisco is the team that can keep giving it to you, though. So it's basically, do you trust this Tampa defense? And I think there's probably better games on the board.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I landed here too, and also notable that Niners defense is healthy and they're fixed because Steve. Good. Did you hear? By the way, there was some interesting chatter about Wilkes moving to the sideline. Did you hear any of that?
No. It's like it worked for Matt Canada. It can work for me. Wilkes has been a little beleaguered.
He has been beleaguered, and one of the reasons that he was beleaguered, according to many, was that he was an outsider. Right? He gets hired by the Niners. They bring him in. He doesn't bring any of his assistants with him. He doesn't bring any players with him who played for him before. He was just plopped into an existing system and structure and asked to call plays. Right?
Yeah, you got set down at somebody else's desk. They didn't clean it up.
And one of the stressors between coordinator and leaders was he was in the box, and they never really interfaced with him on game day to talk through stuff. And moving to the sidelines apparently made a difference with his relationship with those players last week, especially. And some of that was clearly on the Jags, but I think that ultimately, like, getting some immediate feedback and building personal relationships with your guys who are fighting for you, that's probably a good thing. So continue to watch this space to see if the Niners get back to the form that we remember from them from the end of last season, where they were just world killing. I don't think it's impossible, considering they haven't really lost anyone to injury, and they added Chase fucking Young. Just a quick sidebar, Andy.
Both the boys are so good right now.
You know who I wonder? You know who I'd like to kind of pick a brain on? Trent Baalke and the Jags brass. Like, how'd you like playing against Chase Young last week instead of making an offer better than a 3rd-round compensatory for him? I just curious. Like, did you enjoy playing against Chase Young, and why wasn't there a more aggressive offer?
I know there was like 7 teams that were really and there should be more. I mean,
they dropped Commanders dropped their asking price.
There should be 25 teams that are looking at any sort of defensive line help always. I mean, just go look at how are the Eagles able to do it so well last year? Crazy depth. You don't have to go get Chase Young. Get somebody. Get some help. Go get 2 guys. But yeah, it's crazy that I really thought we'd see more aggressive moves from the Saints and the Jags in that department.
Yeah, we agree 100%. I find it pretty silly that they let that go, and I'm definitely intrigued by San Francisco's ceiling now defensively with him. Yeah, nothing else about this game really, although somebody asked a good question. I think it was Rob. Is this possible? Look ahead for San Francisco for Thanksgiving. Like, you can kind of convince me that all of the teams that are playing high leverage Thanksgiving Day games are probably thinking about it. Like, if they're well coached, they should be thinking about it. Like, they should have spent some of their time this week preparing for how they're going to implement their game plans next week, because they only have like 3 days to implement it. So I would think that it might be an issue, but I also don't know how that impacts the fact that Tampa Bay might just not score in this game. So let's keep moving to Seattle, who is the 3rd of the aforementioned Thanksgiving hosts. They're in LA this week for a game that I choose not to think about, a rematch from week 1 that I lost a lot of money on. The Seahawks were miserable week 1. The Seahawks were miserable in prevent defense last week. And I don't know how to properly rate this team, and I kind of hope they lose to the Rams. I'm a little over Pete Carroll and the Seahawks and what they're trying to do. I don't find it enjoyable football to watch. The fact that they're relatively healthy and they're still not performing to their, anywhere close to their potential is frustrating and annoying. And I would love to see Stafford return to some semblance of awesome quarterback play, so we have more fun quarterbacking in the NFL for the rest of the season. Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua missing practice is a little interesting and weird. I hope he goes. I just hope this is an entertaining game, but Seahawks have been kind of a tough hang for me this year. I don't know.
Respect the market a little on this one, I guess. I thought we'd see heavier moves towards the Ram with Stafford in. Maybe the receiver injury stuff is kind of holding people back. We're still Wednesday. We have time. Limits are up, but not up. We have time to see the Rams money come in, but I kind of respect the fact that there is some stoppage and people are backing the Seahawks here, because it's still a Rams team that's not. There's two very incomplete teams. We've seen the Seahawks have to get wins by beating really bad teams like Arizona or, honestly, Giants at that point too. The Giants weren't playing that bad, but they just played such good defense that day. The Seahawks are a very tough team for me to kind of reconcile at this point. I'm close. I'm close on these numbers. But if Stafford, Nacua, and Kupp and everyone are 100%, I kind of feel like this should be Rams, Rams -1, Rams -1.5. So I'm close enough where I'm passing on this one. And again, these divisional games, especially NFC West divisional games, like you said, it's a good place to just get hurt, lose money. I make it Rams by -1.4.
Yeah. The Seahawks and Pete Carroll in general have struggled with Sean McVay for whatever reason. Geno Smith doesn't feel like he's on the same page at all with DK Metcalf. That's a really weird vibe. And the injuries to the offensive line starting to get better for Seattle, so maybe they can defend against
getting Lucas back and completely healthy would be pretty massive.
Aaron Donald, but I don't know if Lucas is coming back for this game. I think it's still
I don't think he is, but his Windows open. He's activated
open, right?
All that. So
And also, you know what? One more thing while we're kicking the Seahawks. That was a stupid fucking trade for Leonard Williams.
Wasn't if you're the Giants.
It was a good one if you're the Giants. But
Again,
what you gave up for him, like, that was dumb.
You know what? It's funny too, because I believe I'm gonna have to go look back at this. I feel like I hated the Giants trade for Williams from the Jets like 4 years ago.
Yeah,
I feel like that was. I feel like the team who's traded for him has gotten hosed both times now. It's like Jamal Adams.
Yeah, it's not crazy, man. All right, Jets Bills. Okay, feelings are complicated here.
Ooh, very complicated about the Bills. Do you get a new OC bounce?
I really hope not.
The subculture. What a fucking word soup! Goddamn, the quote that was.
Okay. Should we air out some grievances here?
Yeah.
Both of these
Ken Dorsey
coaches
did a good job. Ken Dorsey did a good job.
He did. Yes, he was. Good job. And guess what? It was only even 25 games or something stupid. So we don't even really know what he was ultimately going to become as an offensive coordinator. The fact that he took over from the guy who got hired away and became coach of the year, and you didn't really see a blip in offensive performance, should tell you something about his ability to pick up the reins and continue to run a very smoothly running ship. The offensive coordinator and scheme, problem number 20, 17, 18, 17. I mean, so far down the list, I can't even count that low. And honestly, like I want to be mad at Saleh too, because Saleh is just squandering this all-time defense with his insistency on sticking with Zach Wilson here. But I'm more mad at McDermott. I'm really like and I guess here's what's going to be tough. All right. And bear with me here.
Sure.
This total is 40. Okay. In a Bills game with Josh Allen playing and a Bills defense that is bottom 3. Okay. That's awfully low. Right. But look ahead for next week. Bills Eagles 47.5. That feels like a fair-ish Philly team total against this Bills defense, right?
Come on. It has been a very precipitous fall losing these players. None of that. They've had other issues. I mean, the guy who was like backing up the backup at weak side had to move around. I mean, they've really had a bunch of issues as far all 3 levels.
Sure. So realistically, if Josh Allen gets healthier, and I got to assume he's getting close, it's got to be an absolute slam dunk. We can pat our wallets for Christmas betting Bills overs after this week, right? Like there's no way they can keep up with these totals. Look at the offenses this team is playing and tell me how they're keeping any of these units under 30 the way they're playing right now. Yeah. They're going to have to go score and answer with all of these. They're going to have to go ultra aggressive with all of these. And I think what I'd like to see is one more week of the Bills offense being a little bit against an all-time unit in the Jets defense. And I wouldn't mind if Joe Brady's system is like whatever Sean McDermott wants, which is probably like more running and more just, McDermott is probably, he's got the old school mind. Okay. McDermott is bailing water out of a sinking ship as fast as he can. It's his own ship. Like he is desperately fighting for any way to save his job right now. That is,
he's not a lame duck, but he is a duck with injured legs.
Yes, he is. He was shot down and he's in the water and he is very aggressively trying to evade the dog that is coming to pick him up. And I would say he's probably thinking like, I need the offense to sustain drives longer and to keep my defense off the field here because they're getting beaten so badly. Like that's probably in his like one of the things he's thinking about. Like I can tell you his in-game decision making stinks. He put on display, I think, in a lot of ways in that Thursday night football game against the Bucs, where he was like, "Let's just drive to midfield and punt and pin him, punt and pin him, punt and pin him." Like if we go for it, we're probably going to get it. But if we don't get it, then they got the ball at midfield and we're probably going to give up a touchdown, right? Like his mentality, I think, is pretty predictable right now. I would like to see the Bills have one more game where their offense is a little clunky and it gives the market a little signal that they're going to be conservative and they're going to run a bunch. And I think that opens up the door for like 5 weeks of just over. I was going to use a term "fuckfest," but I feel like it's more of just a points orgy for Bills through the month of December. Yes, through the month of
if you just
December.
Want to get filthy, Drew. Jesus, you're just dying to say something horrible. No, my main takeaway. The more I thought about that Monday game, it was watched part of it. It's like, man, Denver should have won by 20. Like, what the fuck were they doing? Like, how do you not take advantage of anything? Like, Denver had just a terrible game plan, terrible execution. Russell looked scared for no reason. He was, seeing ghosts for some reason. And yeah, they probably should have won that game going away. Very, very puzzling game. But yeah, it's under or nothing for me here.
Yes, I would love nothing more than totals under 55 in the following games: at Philadelphia, at Kansas City, versus Dallas, at the Chargers. Like, boy, oh boy, Bills are going to score in those games. I don't care that the Chiefs defense is revamped. I don't care that the Cowboys have a pass rush. I don't care that the Chargers don't have weapons. Like, those are going to be score and answer, just points orgies, and I'm here for it. So 4 games, 4 overs. I call them a shot now, but I could use one more week to kind of keep a lid on these totals.
Yeah.
So that they're not like totally burned.
Well, no, it's weakness on weakness. This Jets offense, doing big things doesn't feel all that likely on the road, even against a bad defense. And suddenly it's like, oh, this defense isn't that bad. And then they go next week and give up 58. The Bills make the playoffs. It's under 50% right now in the markets. Yeah. It's under 50% in my, I used the simulator.
Yeah, I'm going to say no.
I'm kind of on the no, just looking at how things work. Like the more I look at it, and I know it's not technically the more likely path if you go look at the odds and how it really works out, but in my fucking sick brain, the more likely path to the playoffs for the Bills is Miami screwing things up royally.
Sure.
And the Bills, splitting the season series, winning the division on a tiebreaker where it's a bad AFC East rather than sneaking in on a wild card.
Yeah. Yeah. If Tua
for Christopher Davis simulator.
Yeah. If Tua goes down with a head injury and it's Michael White time, then I'm going to be a little different opinion about that. But right now, I think they're in a deep trouble. And the 7th seed is going to be very, very tough. And they're probably going to have to beat Miami in Miami week 18 in order to even have a chance. And they're going to need to win a couple of these coin flips against the really good teams, including Eagles, KC, Dallas.
Yeah, this conference got weird, guys, didn't it?
Yeah.
It got weird.
Yeah.
All right. The true, and I do want to touch on Monday Night Football a little too if we'll get a chance here. But the true creme de la creme, Minnesota Denver.
Oof, what a creme!
I like this under, but I'm holding out because I think Thursday injury reports might push this number up. When Jefferson is limited again, I really think we're a week away on that yet.
Okay.
And if we're not, and there's mud on my face or, yolk in my eye, whatever.
I really hope they play him.
I do too.
He'd be a perfect decoy.
See, and that's the other thing too. Like if he does play, I feel like it'll be snap count limited. He won't, he won't really be a big part of the game plan, but he would push the total up. So I'm going to bet this under. This Vikings defense is beyond me. It is coaching, it is scheme, it is getting the most out of the guys you have because they don't have guys. And I know, Ivan Pace was a nice little treat in the offseason, undrafted free agent, and they've gotten a little more out of the pass rush than we thought at times. And some guys on the inside are getting home. The secondary is overperforming. Caleb's hurt again, but I don't understand how they're making this defense work. This is a better defense than the Broncos played last week, for sure. which is not something I thought I'd say about this. Obviously the injuries to Buffalo made a big difference there, but somehow, some way, these are two top 10 defenses, which is crazy from where we're at in week 1 when Buffalo, or week 2, 3, when Buffalo's still missing pieces and the Vikings looked fucking lost against good offenses. The game plan for Broncos offense is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
It's not using any of their strengths for some reason. Sutton should be a star. They should be able to run the ball a lot more effectively. And the Minnesota offense is probably going to take a step back at some point. I mean, we're getting some tape on Dobbs. He's great, but basically, hey, let's cover the injured tight end, not let him do this. So
yeah,
I think the side's probably about right. These teams are pretty equal on paper. You're getting a couple points for home field. It's a tough place to play. It's never an easy place to play, especially Denver. This is a good home crowd. This is a night game. And
I think you're right.
One thing I didn't think I'd say either is I think we have a massive coaching advantage for the Vikings. I don't trust the in-game decision making. I don't trust the game planning, and I don't trust the entire scheme for the season from Sean Payton right now. I don't know if he's just kind of biding his time to figure out what comes next year, punting on this, but they're not like out of the playoff race. It's such a dumb, unserious team. The Vikings win this game would not surprise me, obviously.
Yeah, no disagreement here.
So I like the under, and it's a primetime under.
I like that, man. That's a good look. I mean, here I don't have a lot to add other than it's pretty clear that the Denver defense is still somehow a bye. I don't know why. There isn't an adjustment here that's more serious, but that's fine. I don't care. I'm enjoying it. And I don't know. I don't really know what the deal is with Russ and Sean Payton. I went back and kind of looked at the play sequencing and some of the uniqueness of that last game. And Sean Payton almost directly lifted the offensive and defensive game plans that Belichick used against the Bills. Like it was so similar.
But with a better quarterback.
Well, with the better quarterback, but performed almost the same stat line. Like it was not.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's a waste. It's a waste of somebody with an actual, live quarterbacking skill set yet. True.
But like the depth of target, the routes that they were running, the insistence on getting the ball in the hands of the the running backs in these little flare outs, like it was so visually similar to what the Patriots tried to do. It was like, well, they specifically had a plan to emulate that game, and it worked. I don't know that that's like their identity now, and they may have a totally different game plan for the Minnesota Vikings defense. I'm not exactly sure how you beat Flores' defense, by the way. Like they're kind of a tough matchup.
Well, and it's been a different plan. Like there's been like 4 iterations of it already this year, where it's like, hey, we don't have all our pass rushers back. Let's just blitz, constantly. We get some pass rushers back. We get some pressure in the middle. We're going to dial that back. We're going to play a little less zone, a little more man here because we can. It's been impressive. I said this about Flores in the preseason. I said, I'm pumped for this hire. I don't think it pans out until next year.
Kidding me. False start on the extra point try and they miss it. Get the fuck out of here.
Chippewas missed the extra point?
Yeah.
I can't believe you're betting on the Mac.
God,
Miami of Ohio just scored though.
They're just kids.
Other game.
They're just kids.
So I said this. I love Flores. I don't think it works out this year. I am very much impressed with how quickly he was able to take a bad defense and make them sort of good. Maybe they don't finish the season as a top 10 defense, but they're going to finish as a top half defense, which is, he should be getting, I know people are maybe a little, if I'm an owner, if I'm a GM, I'm a little tentative to give him an interview because of, the fact that he sued a team.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever your opinions are on that lawsuit, and if it had merit or what happened there is besides the point. Like they don't have to say out loud, hey, we're not going to hire this guy because he sued another team. They can just not, offer him interviews. But he should probably get some interviews here again in the next couple of years. He's done a really good job so far.
If he doesn't, it's Vikings win.
Yeah, no, and that's such a good thing for the Vikings. If he's truly like blackballed from getting interviews, good for Minnesota.
Even if it's just half the league who has their heads up their asses.
You finally get to keep. Yeah. You can finally get to keep a coordinator. You know how many coordinators? Minnesota doesn't win championships. Minnesota coordinators win championships elsewhere. I mean, like Monty Kiffin was a coordinator. Brian Billick, Tony Dungy, Mike Tomlin.
Oh man!
Really? I think I'm missing a couple. Norv Turner was for a little while, but like just think of the championships that come. A lot of those are defensive guys too. But it's crazy. Like, so congrats to Flores for winning the Super Bowl with the Arizona Cardinals in 7 years. Clip that. We do have, and I will say, if you are in New Jersey, you can help support one of our sponsors too with Profit Exchange. There is incredibly cheap low vig lines at Profit Exchange. We have our 2 markets for this week are yes, no's. Everyone's making a big deal about ESPN Bet having the yes, no on touchdowns, anytime touchdowns.
Yeah.
I feel like Circa might have had those too. And offshores definitely were able to find those, but that's not something that's, all over. And so we put up some anytime touchdowns for Lamar. You can bet yes or no on him on Thursday Night Football. And we did it for Joshua Dobbs on the Sunday Night Football. Again, razor thin margins on those. Best prices you're probably going to find on the yes. And it might be the best price you can find on the yes and the no. Because truthfully, I was a little jealous. You know how our guy Barry bets those interception props?
Yes, I do.
There was a couple of those up at Profit Exchange when I was poking around, and one was like, he gave out like plus 120. It was like plus 134 at Profit Exchange. There's some pretty good prices. Go check out the props. And if you are a New Jersey bettor and you just say, well, they don't have this one, you literally can just ask them. It's like a lot of the offshores will do that too. They will put up basically any market for you. If you just say, I want to put some liquidity into this, they'll put it up for you. You might want to do it a little ahead of time because somebody has to take the other side of it. It is still an exchange. You don't automatically just get a bet by putting the liquidity in. Such is life. And then quick notes on Monday night. Did you make a bet in this one?
Yeah, but I don't have a ton of confidence in it. This was -2.5, -110, good to -2.5, -110 for me. And it was Chiefs because Mahomes.
I think they can beat that secondary.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if they don't have a wide receiver one. Like
I think
they can make that secondary look kind of bad.
There are 3 reasons in no particular order. Mahomes against that secondary.
Mm-hmm.
Eagles pass offense against a huge step up in class pass defense, and spite because the Eagles beat the Cowboys. Those are the 3 reasons. And the spite is just a joke on the nature of, I think that there is still some top here with the Eagles. Maybe it's just local. Maybe they ultimately are the NFC champs. That's entirely possible. I may bet the Eagles in the playoffs when we get to that point, when we know the matchups. The Eagles, I have a brewing take, by the way, that really was a little spiteful. It was a little angry and, a little interested in hurting the feelings of some Eagles fans. But I feel like with as weak as the NFC is right now and as snake bitten as the Niners are with, injuries and Brock Purdy maybe just having a ceiling that we don't know about, but it is there. We might be living through the Eagles as the Bills in the 90s dynasty, where they just win the inferior conference every single year and then get beaten in the Super Bowl by the superior conference champ, whoever that happens to be. And it's the Chiefs a couple times and maybe the Bengals once and then maybe somebody else once, right? Like that's kind of potentially this next era of football where you have this imbalance. Is that a rate that take on a scale of 1 to 10?
It's like a 6.5 because it's a little spiteful. I'm not saying like, hey, that's a ridiculous fucking thing you just said and you're just being an asshole, because there's parts of it that check out, but it's a little spiteful, so that drops the rating a little.
It's a little spiteful.
It's a little spiteful.
I agree with that.
It's not just a pinch. There's like a half a tablespoon of spice in there.
Tablespoon.
Like you can taste it. It's but it's not bad. It's not a bad take.
Okay. All right. Well, if we get to the NFC Championship game and I'm pounding the table saying, why are the Eagles not getting more respect? Just
remind you.
Yeah, thank you.
I will keep this one.
Yeah.
Team total. Did you have one you particularly liked?
I think we just go with the Dolphins, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Dolphins to score a shitload of points. That's
30
not only
and a half.
do I think that's
biggest team total on the board. Let's just fire away.
I think it's a good bet, but it's also a very fun one.
Yes, it is. Absolutely freaking. Let's get a touchdown for everyone. I love it.
Fair enough. Touchdown, Miami. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow for halftime, and hopefully the game does not suck because I'm really looking forward to the primetime games this week.
Yeah, man. Good primetime games. Oh,
finally.
And by the way, we'll share with the world. They should flex the Ravens Bengals out of Thursday Night Football. So it's good. That was pretty funny.